101.9 and other frequencies across Liberia. Our studio guests are already here. We told you earlier that we'll have in studio, that's the USAID Mission Director. He's Mr. Jim Wright. Mr. Wright is the Mission Director of USAID. He's already seated in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having us this morning.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. Also have Madam Felicia Dawes Soma. Madam Soma is the Assistant Minister for Basic and Secondary Education at the Ministry of Education. How you doing?
Good.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I know. And I also have Patience Yuswa. Patience Yuswa is the Reading Director. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you, and thank you for having us.
Okay, this program, this special interview is being carried on Metro FM on their request. Metro FM is basically intended for commercial entertainment broadcasting, and so we sought to carry this program on Metro based on what they've requested. Okay, let me speak with the director first, the USAID Mission Director. Let me ask him first, how are you doing again?
I'm still doing fine.
Okay, no. Now, let's hear from you basically about this whole USAID reading activity program that you've spent $28 million on. Just give us a brief history about this whole program.
Great. So I'm very pleased I have two experts with me. So the Deputy Minister of Education for basic and basic education, and also our the senior reading instructor from Read Liberia. So they are the technical experts who can provide a lot of the additional details. But I just wanted to say I'm thrilled to be able to talk about this successful 5-year program that had a very clear and demonstrated impact on increasing the ability of children in first and second grades to read up to the Liberian government standards. Reading is such a fundamental skill that's necessary not only to continue education, but also for skills in life. So we really wanted to share a lot of the lessons learned from this very successful program. So I think the fact that thousands of children are now able to read properly is a very important result of this program, and that's why we wanted to share it with you all.
Okay, before we go to the Assistant Minister from the Ministry of Education, what was the rationale, Mr. Wright? I know USAID has been undertaking other programs in the country. You've done extremely well. Let's give you the kudos for all what you've been doing for our country and our people. But the issue of our kids reading, learning how to read, what's the rationale for which USAID thought that it was quite necessary to invest such a huge amount on that?
Well, I'd say first of all, it's the government of Liberia and the Ministry of Education that identified that as a priority several years ago. So we were very happy to be able to support the Ministry of Education in strengthening the reading program. Also, we've seen throughout the world how fundamental reading is for all of the country's development initiatives. So anything that we want to do in the economic growth sector or democracy and governance or health really depends on people being able to read. For example, we want to increase agriculture in Liberia, but farmers need to be able to read to understand the instructions that they have. If they have insecticides or any other products, they need to be able to read. We're trying to help businesses, but business people need to be able to read contracts and understand them. In the health field, people need to be able to read and understand the instructions on medicine. So it's such a fundamental skill that underlies everything else that we're trying to do together to make advanced development in Liberia.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Let's hear from the Assistant Minister for Basic and secondary education at the Ministry of Education, Minister Felicia Saki Dosuma. Madam Minister, welcome again.
Thank you.
Now, I know the focus of the program basically was to improve early grade reading skills. Tell us, how has this whole program been faring? What have you been doing under this program?
Okay, first of all, the Ministry of Education, particularly the government of Liberia, is highly grateful to USAID for its support to improving education in Liberia. And looking at reading, we all know that when we have our students who are taught at a very early age to read, they will do well in other subject areas. And so this is an important part of education that USAID has joined the ministry to support. Now, what has happened as part of this support, we have textbooks that have been written with support from USAID, but having Liberian teachers participate in the writing of stories, in the development of the workbooks. So it's been a kind of strong partnership. What we also have done is to make reading a standalone subject. So if you look in our academic calendar now, you look at our schedules, there's a special period for reading. So everybody knows that you should have reading, as a special period, not just mixing it with language arts. We also have done the national reading benchmarks. For example, if you gave a child, like a first grade child, a passage to read, we want to be for that child to be able to answer questions from that reading, to read fluently, and to read as at an acceptable standard. So we've done the reading benchmarks, and the reading benchmarks have been put in the academic calendar, and we've shared them now. Currently, the calendars have been printed, even though we have shared them in electronic copies. But by the end of this week, we will begin sharing the hard copies. We have printed 7,000, and then we have a partner who's also helping us print some more. So we have more calendars. ERPC, you can rest assured you have your copy. So the National Reading Strategy has been included, it has been approved and included in the calendar. We also have involved our education officers, because they are our lieutenants at the county level and at the district levels. So whatever we do, whether it's training, is whatever conversation we have around reading, we get them fully involved. We are currently finalizing, we are almost like 90% at the development of the National Reading Strategy. And that strategy is to guide anyone who wants to make an intervention in reading. You can get it, if you are a student, there's a portion for you, your responsibility. If you are a teacher, there's something for you. If you are a business person, but the strategy gives a national outlook on what we want to see in reading in our country. So if you come to our country, you are a partner, you can look at our strategy and you see what kind of intervention you need to make. It includes people with disabilities and all. So it's a holistic kind of document. So very soon we'll be launching that document and be sharing it out. We also have included other stakeholders from the private sector, because education is not just about the Ministry of Education. So we work with private stakeholders like my colleague will be telling you in a few minutes. We've been celebrating teachers. We've been having the private sector come in with some little gifts, other things, just to make teachers feel special, about the work that they do. But we really have been having a very strong collaboration, and we want, in the next few years, we will be moving away from, we don't want to be talking about our children can read well. We want to be having our children at a different level, because by that time we have made all of the inputs, and our children will be reading.
Now, the focus of the entire program is to help our kids, our students, to learn how to read and write. Just give us an idea before this program, before you initiated with the help of the USAID, before you started this whole program. Give us a picture as to how was the reading culture like.
Okay, before we started this program, there were other interventions that were being made from the level of the Ministry of Education. Of course, you have the teacher training institutions, that are preparing teachers to teach reading. But the capacity of the teacher training centers, cannot address the teacher training needs of the country. So we're taking like maybe on a whole, maybe not more than 1,000. And we have all these teachers around. So there were interventions being made, but not on a very large scale.
Okay.
There were some private providers that were training teachers to teach reading. But right now, what we've done is to have a document that everyone can use. Yeah, so if you're teaching reading in Montserrado County, that's the same early grade reading that's being taught in Riverside, that's being taught in Maryland, in River G. So that's where we are now.
Okay, let's hear from Patience Yusua. She's the reading director. Let's hear from her. I'm sure this is all lab. Strategically, tell us about the entire implementation of the program. How have you been implementing the program?
Okay, thank you very much. The USAID Early Grade Reading Program started off with setting objectives. Of course, anytime you implement it, we have to have objectives. And amongst those objectives, we had ensuring that after 2 years of schooling, primary students will be able to read grade level text. We also piloted a kindergarten 2 intervention, and the objective was to improve their oral vocabulary skill. We wanted children to start becoming expressive at an early stage. And then we also talk about expanding the early grade reading system in strategic ways, so especially so that the Ministry of Education will be better positioned to support and run with it. And so under those, we refer to those things as intermediary objectives. And for example, we have for the ministry, we want to ensure that they will adapt, or learn lessons from the strategies that we've implemented. And then, like she said, like the minister said, they're now ensuring that it cuts across all of the counties. Like counties won't be teaching different programs or using different methods or approaches. We also work with teachers in the classroom, where we work to improve the instruction, early grade reading instruction in the classroom. And we provided training for those teachers. We work with the ministry, and we design and develop and printed teaching and learning materials that the teachers could use in the classroom. And then we also work with the community through a PTA, community engagement component of the program. So we did everything to capture Ministry of Education, the community, parents, and then the program design with the teachers and the students that we work with. We also work with the district education officers and other program ministry staff to evaluate, because when you do a program, we implement a program, you have to also evaluate as to whether you're meeting your objectives or you're making any gains, learning lessons where you will adjust and adapt to fill in gaps that you will discover along the way. So yes, basically that's the outline of the design.
Okay, now you just spoke about also including the community and the parents as well. Specifically, what role did the community play in the execution of the program, and the parents as well, because they are not in the schools?
Yes, I think you heard the minister saying something about sometimes parents may see things in a slightly different way, but without the parents, we won't have the children to come to school. And so if we encounter a challenge, for example, maybe, for example, what we do, we distribute report cards at the end of the period, like normally.
Surely.
And if the students are registering low progress, it's the concern. It should be the concern of the parents and the community. And then together, how can we work? For example, we have worked with the community to establish reading spaces Liberia, we have to build the reading culture. Some of us were in school before this time. We read at home, but we saw over time we saw those things leaving. So we work with the community to ensure that we have spaces, even if it meant a little community space for a little community library. We work with those communities. So basically, the community, the parents are really key, and I think those things help us. For example, if we went a teacher was in the classroom, it was the prerogative of the community to find out why, and then work with the teacher or work with the administration to ensure that we can have the teacher in the classroom or to help the results. So,
Okay, let's hear from the USAID chief, the mission director. Mr. Wright, I know the program took place or was held in 640 public primary schools. I know not all of the schools around, and the program should be closing on in September next month. Give us your own evaluation. How do you see the implementation of the project from the perspective of USAID?
Thank you. Yes, so this project started 5 years ago and is coming to an end next month, and that is the standard procedure that USAID has for its programs. In fact, we also have a 5-year country strategy. So we want to, as Patience was saying, we need to periodically take stock of whether we've achieved our objectives, if we're achieving results, rather than continuing to just keep doing the same thing all the time. So this was I guess this was a bit of a pilot project to try out some methodologies and systems and approaches, and I think we can say categorically it has been successful, and therefore really are very excited about the way the Ministry of Education has agreed to continue supporting the program and seeing how we can work together to expand it. So this particular program will be ending, but we are looking at ways to expand the program based on the lessons learned. I also wanted to pick up on some of the points that the Patience made, which I think are extremely important. The role of parents is really crucial, and that's one lesson we learned in the program, is how much of a difference it makes. We know that a lot of the parents themselves may not be literate. They may not know how to read, but they can encourage their children just even 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day. If the child can come back with their school book and read to them, that will give them good practice, but also motivate the children to keep reading, and we've seen that being very impactful. Also, the books that were available, that's one of the real successes of this program, is making books, because without that it's extremely hard to be able to read. Practice makes perfect, and so if you have a book, you take it home, you read it, it makes a difference. So we've seen that. So I wanted to just reinforce that point.
So you are highly impressed about the implementation of the program.
Yes, we still have a long way to go. I think my colleagues will correct me, but the number of children reading at grade level increased dramatically, but it was coming in from a very low base. So I think we're up maybe to 30% now, which is more than double what it was before. We want it to be 100%, so we still have a lot of work for us to do.
Okay, we'll come back to you as to what is it that the USAID is intending or planning to do to ensure that this program this program continued. So we'll come back to you with that question. Now, Madam Minister, you just heard the USAID Mission Director praising you and your team for the manner in which you handle the program and the success as well. But first, we want to hear from you. How have you been able to track the students? I heard him talking about some 30%. To determine the percentage at which the program is now. How have you been able to track the successes of the progress?
Okay, we have from the end of the ministry, we have not gone through a formal kind of evaluation yet, but there's been evaluation done also by USAID, and we do go out into the field when we have these we visit these classrooms to find out exactly what is happening, and we also got information from the testimonies of teachers. There are teachers who did not know how to teach reading.
Okay.
They just went into the classroom and said, "Well, open to page 5, and let's read." Or they wrote the whole story on the board. But then you have a testimony from that same teacher who said, "After the training, now I can teach reading. Now my own way of speaking has changed." You know, so we have testimony from all around the country. We have teachers who were did not have the experience of teaching reading properly. Now they have become facilitators. So besides teaching in the classroom, they are now the ones teaching their colleagues. And I will talk more about that as we go further into the conversation. So from the classroom, from the children reading, because when we do have programs, we get them to come out. And you just randomly select a story and say, just read that. So it's not that the child is memorizing. So you can just grab a story and that child is able to decode a word that they did not even know before. So we have seen a significant change in the way the children have been learning. And those children that are reading well, they are doing well in other subjects. Because if you can read well, you can read your science.
Sure.
You can read your social studies. Yeah.
Now, the program is we understand it takes place or has been held in 640 schools, right? Primary schools. Are they the only schools across the entire country, or we still got more schools that you want to also take the program to?
Yes, we do have more schools, and that brings me into where we talk about the sustainability. From the onset of the program, we've been talking sustainability because we think we don't want USAID to make all that huge investment, and then at the end of the activity, we don't have anything to look up to. So we've been working towards the future, knowing that this program will come to an end and we have to take it over. So what the ministry has done first, we set up a technical working group. So we have a national reading technical working group. In that technical working group, we have the academia, colleges of education, we have the Ministry of Education, and we have partners into the working group. And we also have been working on training master trainers. So there are educators that have gone through a series of training, and we call them now our master trainers. So if we want to do a training of reading teachers here, these are the people we call on to provide the training. So maybe if you allow me, let me just move further into what we are doing now. As a way of sustaining the program, what we did was to get major stakeholders involved. We brought them around the table first to talk about continuity and reaching out to more schools, because the schools, private schools have been coming to us and saying, we want to be part of this program. So we've involved owners of private schools, the Principals Association, teachers, we've already been engaging them. We even went to the point of engaging publishers, because we think that when we got a copyright for these materials, one of the key issues there was that the books would be reproduced at reasonable cost. So we try to get publishers and let them know this is not about profit making, but about giving back to the community. So we got a publisher a Liberian publisher who's reproducing the books for us. But besides that, what we also did was to form a team of educators. We put them into clusters. So first we work in Monserrado, and then went to Bassa, and then went to Nimba and Bong. These are the 4 counties we're trying to pilot and reach more schools in first.
Okay.
So we broke out the districts into clusters, and then we met with these educators for the principals, the vice principals, and then we have the grade 1 and grade 2 teachers into these meetings and letting them know what the whole process looks like. And they all welcome it. So what's going to happen now? First, we have to provide training for them. And then the books are being printed at reasonable cost. Then we have 2 books. You have the Let's Read, which is the regular reader, and then you have the activity book. The two books cost only $6.50. And we are encouraging parents to invest. That's an investment. If you spend $6.50 for your child, the next child in line can use those books the following year. So we are encouraging. We know Liberia, we've been away from buying books for our children for a long time, but we want you to get back into the habit. Invest in your child's education. Only $6.50. Forget about putting a
That's the sustainability plan you are explaining.
That's
now,
it.
Right? Okay.
So, as we speak, the next week, Monday, we'll be starting the training. Currently, schools are registering now at the office of the DEO. So, in each district, if you have a grade 1, you have your school, you have grade 1 and grade 2 reading teachers, please go to the DEO's office. In fact, most of the DEOs have the chat rooms, so they've been putting the information in there. From the cluster meetings, there are some school administrators who said, look, I know I'm supposed to send my grade 1 and grade 2 teachers, but I have 3, 4, 5, and 6. I want them to come. So we said, let them come because it's just the same reading. So more other teachers will be coming to the reading. What we want to do, we'll begin the training on Monday, then we will do the lunch on Tuesday and go right back into the training. Because we have some of our partners who will want to be there and will be engaged on Monday. So we'll not let that stop, but we start and then we have the training. But one of the key message I want to send to parents is that investment in your child's education. Let your child own a book. I have my reading book, I have my workbook, it's for me. I can take it to school, I can use it at home, and the parents can use that book to even help the children. And because that child is really into that book, you find out that child sooner or later doesn't need a book and want to hire a book. So that's why we are investing in your child's life so the child reads well. It's not magic that your children succeed, it's investment.
Now, but why now, Madam Minister, you want the parents to purchase the books? I know over the 5 years that the project has been running, you didn't ask for that.
Yes, because we're doing it in those schools that were being supported by USAID. But now that we are sustaining it, now that we are reaching out to more schools, there's no funding to produce books for them, but they need it. So we are saying, please invest.
Okay.
Invest. We've made arrangement with the publisher so that, because we know people may not have, maybe say we don't have all the money now, so the school will be giving the books and they will have to pay the publisher in installments. Yes.
Now, Madam Swa, we heard that the project took place, or you carried out in 640 schools, right?
Yes.
And you still have additional schools that you want the project to reach. If you could just do the mathematics for us, because we want to know the impact of the whole $28 million for the schools.
Well, the minister will be better positioned.
Madam Minister, you can just give us that information, please.
Well, I'm trying to find the full numbers, but what we plan to do currently, our target now is to work with 2,000 teachers in the places where we're working.
Okay.
And before the end of the show, I will give you the final number.
Okay, because we want that final number so that we know how many schools are remaining that are not benefited from that whole USAID $28 million project, which is very important. Now, let's hear from you, Madam Sual. I continue to hear the minister talking about training of teachers. What is it so important? Because the issue is that the schools are the ones who do the recruitment of the teachers, right? And we expected that before a teacher is recruited, the teacher should know how to read and write so that they don't misinform or miseducate our students. So why are you focusing on teachers training in this project then focusing on other aspects of the project? Why the teachers?
Okay, thank you. Well, being able to read myself and being able to help a child to read or transfer the knowledge is a skill. So we know these teachers have been recruited and they're in the classroom. But then we discovered that most of the teachers' ability to transfer that knowledge to help the child read, they were struggling. So it was important for us to train these teachers on how to do those things. And our classrooms, over time, we saw some books, but then there are strategies, there are skills, reading skills that you have to teach children. And then there are strategies that teachers need to apply when you're teaching. Earlier, the minister said, a teacher would just write a story on the board and the children would do choral reading where they memorize. But if you took that passage off the board and put it on another sheet of paper and put it before the child, we discovered that the child seemed lost. So we realized that the children were only doing route, learning where they would memorize a particular story. And then the teachers themselves needed to grasp the understanding that there are skills that need to be taught. And those skills, can be applied to reading. You also heard talking about decoding and blending, the letter sounds. And why do you learn the letter sounds? Why do you have to decode those sounds, those letter sounds in the word, and then blend them to read a word? And so we know our teachers, they didn't have those basic skills. And even those that had some, they needed, some refresher on them. So that's why we focused on training those teachers so that they will redesign their strategy in the classroom so that students can learn better to read.
Mr. Wright, you heard Madam Minister talking about you listened to the SMS, the Super Money Show rated on the OBC 99.9 and other frequencies across Liberia. This program has been relayed on Metro FM as well. Now, Mr. Wright, you heard the minister talking about the sustainability plan, and she's trying to put it now on the lap of the parents, to begin buying books. Is that what do you envisage for this project?
Sustainability is a crucial topic, and here, as the minister said, there's no point starting something if you're not going to be able to continue it. So I think that's a realistic approach for reflecting the current realities. And the Ministry of Education does not have all of the budget that it needs to carry out all of the things we would like it to be able to do. So I think it is a realistic approach. At the same time, I would say from USAID's perspective, we would love the national budget to reflect the priority of education and provide more funding to the ministry so that it could have more resources. We will continue to work with, colleagues in the legislature to advocate for that, but again, that's a decision of the Liberian government and the Liberian people. I think also USAID has been working to help the government of Liberia increase its revenue. So we did have a successful collaboration with the Liberia Revenue Authority, which resulted in over a few years the increased tax collection of 20%. So the government has additional resources available to it.
Now, I know, Mr. Wright, you are quite concerned about the continuation of the project. You don't want to see this project or this program die. Yeah. You want to see it, continues.
It's not the program; it's the methodology and the approach. I think the changing of the mindset and the way that English is reading is being taught has been really transformational. And again, it's not the program; it's the way that reading is teaching. We've seen a lot of progress, and hope that will continue. It's the Ministry of Education is taking the lead, and USAID wants to continue to support from behind to the best that we can.
Okay, you want to continue to support. So after it has closed, the project has come to an end in September. what are you thinking about in trying to ensure that the program continues beyond September?
Yeah. So we are very active, working in collaboration with the ministry to plan continued.
You're going to
support.
make additional $28 million available?
Maybe even more.
I hope so. Okay. I know we'll open the lines 50 minutes to the time we'll open the lines. But, Madam Minister, let's hear from you. I know you spoke about your plan, your sustainability plan. But before opening the lines, what lesson did you learn as the minister responsible and having oversight and oversight with this whole project, this whole reading skills, especially from the primary level? What lesson did you learn?
One lesson I learned is that Liberians are capable to do what you want them to do. And what do I say? With the kind of coordination we've had with support from USAID, we're able to find teachers who really had it. They just needed somebody to just push them a little. We're able to discover that you have parents who are cooperative if you gave them guidance. Sometimes we say the parents aren't cooperative, but we don't reach them as we should. So that's a basic lesson that I've learned. And to know that we are about to make these efforts on our own, have the parents participate by buying the books for the children, having us lead the process of training the teachers. That's something I learned, that with a little, if someone gives you a little push, you can use that push to push yourself further.
Surely. Okay, let's hear from you, Madam Swah. What lesson did you learn from this, from the implementation of this whole project?
Well, like the minister said, Liberia, we've always had, we will always have challenges, but it's always best, one of the lessons that I learned is best to talk about sustainability from the very beginning. It should be sustainability. And some of us have had the privilege or opportunity to participate on other projects. But with this project, we started, from the very beginning. Yes, there were challenges identifying, key stakeholders that will, embrace it. But, it was good that the Minister Tosoma has been the focal person. She is not too new to it. So it gave Read Liberia activity, edge in terms of ensuring that we can sustain the program, and we started to do it from the very beginning. The other thing is that when people are aware of what to do, and they are provided, like she said, with the necessary skills, they will do it. And so we learned that lesson, that create awareness through your community engagement component, and then train your staff, get your materials, and go out and ensure that people are trained to grasp the skills that they need. So yes, there may be other lessons. We also talk about, learn that we needed to engage stakeholders at every level, like not just the ministry at top level, but the DOs, the district education officers. We work with them. There were times, sometimes the bureaucracy, maybe it would take us some time to get feedback from the ministry, but we're also down there with the district education officers and county education officers and informing them and working with them. So by the time we got, the final kick or go ahead from the ministry, they were all set. So that was also, a key lesson that we learned, so that the program would have been successful. Thank you.
Okay, like I said, shortly we'll be opening the lines. But before then, let me ask the USAID Mission Director, Mr. Wright. I know you were once a student, isn't so?
That's true.
Okay. Now, what words of wisdom you think you can give to our students listening to you, and advice to our parents as well before opening the lines?
I would just encourage the students to work hard and take advantage of the opportunities that they have. If they are fortunate enough to have books, make good use of them. If they don't, seek opportunities to find whatever it is that you can read. maybe pick up an old newspaper somewhere. But the way to learn how to read is by practicing. And I'd also say to the parents that they play, again, a critical role in the education of their children. We've seen the value of the school books, but I was very disappointed a few weeks ago. I went to a school, and most of the students there did not have their books with them. Only a few of them were there, and I could see how the difference it made. They were able to read along with the student who was at the front of the class reading, and they were practicing. Others were being very passive because they hadn't brought their books to school. Now, I don't know what happened to the books. Did they lose them? Did they get sold? The fact that those children didn't have the books meant that they were not benefiting and learning from the way that the ones with the books. So the program encourages the children to take the books home with them to school to use them more, but they also have to make sure to bring them back and use them.
0776-540-987. That's the number to call. That's the alternative line. 0776-540-987, or better still, 0880-514-096. Again, 0880-514-096. That's the number to call, and you are live on the SMS. Again, 0776-540-987. 0776-540-987. You can put the calls, and then you are live on the SMS. Or better still, 0880-514-096. Again, 0880-514-096. That's the number to call, and you are live on the show this morning. We have our first caller on the line. Let's take this caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm Yazin Soma. I'm calling from OKT Community.
Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I'm following the show. Thanks for the information this morning. And thanks to the USAID for well done. You know, with the youth, we need a good education and also support from our parents to help us purchasing the book, the Madam she was talking about, and all of stuff. And thanks to our governor and education minister also for well done. And we trust and we believe ourselves as the children will do well, and we are willing to do well. Thank you.
Many thanks. 0776-540-987, or better still, 0880-514-096. Again, 0776-540-987 or 514-096. That's the number to call, and you are live. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm George Davis. I want to say thank you to your studio guests. I want to find out what would be the training for those teachers you mentioned for the rest of the school, because we have not yet received any training, any books. So we want to know what would be the training for the teachers and so that they can be able to come and train our students to read.
Okay, many thanks. Many thanks. They are taking notes. They'll respond to that. Let's take this call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Please lower the volume of your radio.
Yeah, I'm off.
Okay, let's hear from you.
I'm Prince Mohammed. I'm calling from District 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to urge your studio guests. They are complaining the education system in Liberia. Trust me, education has gone battle. One of the words of Professor Ansu Suni, the real that word. Education system has gone battle.
We are talking about... Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Okay. It seems that... Are you there?
I'm there.
We are talking about a USAID-funded project or program to help our people learn how to read. That's a project we are talking about. We are not talking about the performance of Minister Suni and his team.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought...
Okay, many thanks. Let's leave it at that. 0776. People like politics, but still not. 0776-540-987, or better still, 0880-514-096. That's the number to call. 0880-514-096. That's the number to call, or better still, 0776-540-987. You call these numbers, you are live on the SMS. Right here on EOBC 99.9, 89.9 on Metro. This program is being carried on Metro as well this morning. 0880514-096. Let's go to the phone line and take this caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Mr. George Jr.
Okay.
And I've been listening to the program from the beginning. My concern, okay, I like the idea of the ministry talking about training of trainers. And then I learned something about phonics being taught, will also be taught. That's good. But why is it that the government of Liberia not subsidizing the cost of the books? The reason being that in interior schools, you see students walking to school with sometimes just one copybook, hardly any proper shoes or clothing, and then you get to find out that the parents just do not have the money. $6 plus, it's a lot of money for the interior. I beg your indulgence. You'll find other means to subsidize this book and the process in which we intend to go through. I thank you.
Many thanks. Let's get a call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Sorbor.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm